Hey everyone, Angelo here. Welcome to another design tutorial. Today, I want to show you how to create an interactive mobile catalog with scrolling frames using Adobe InDesign. In this lesson, I'll go over how to set up button structures and add animation. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on creating our mobile catalog. As you can see on my screen here, I do have two pages that I've created previously. But if I double click on the first one, you'll see that the content is actually contained in a container frame. That's what's going to become our scrolling frame later on. I'll show you how to do that. First and foremost, let's go ahead and set up the document. So I'm going to go up to File and New, Document. Command N will also work. I'm going to click on the Mobile tab up top. And for this tutorial, I'm working on an iPhone X document size. If you have any of these other devices which are a little bit dated, you could also add a custom size here to what you may be working on. However, we're going to be exporting this as an EPub fixed layout. And for me personally, iPhone X works the best. So I'm going to go with that. You can leave the width and the height the same here. Make the pages 2, because this is going to be a multi-page layout with scrolling frames. The primary text frame, we don't need to have linked frames on both pages, so go ahead and uncheck that. That's primarily if you were working on a book where you would need text frames to be linked throughout. But for this, we're only using 2 pages, so we're okay. The columns, don't worry about that, and the margins at 36 is fine. Pixels is fine. Of course, you can also always preview. You can also preview the setup as you're setting up the fields here. So I'm going to hit create. I'm not going to be working off this document here, but I do want to show you one thing. We have to kind of trick InDesign because this is going to be a longer layout, so we can scroll a little bit. So as we're adding content, you're going to notice that it's not going to fit on the height of this page. So in your properties panel, by the way, I'm working in Essentials workspace. So if for whatever reason you may be on Essentials Classic, go ahead and switch to Essentials so you can access the properties panel. And then under the height field, temporarily, as we're working, I'm going to make that 5,000 pixels, okay? And you can see now that the layout is much, much longer. And that's good because as we're adding our content, and then we can switch it back to an iPhone X page size, and then add it into a container frame for the scrolling frames. This will all make sense at the end, I promise. So set it up to 5,000 pixels, and now we can start going ahead and adding our content. So let's go ahead and do that next. All right, so you can see I've left some space in some of these areas where I have designated where I'll put the images, which will become buttons to trigger object states. So the user experience, once this is published on an EPub, is to tap on the image. So in this case, the first case, we'll add some handbags or purses. We'll tap on one of the purses, and the corresponding information, product info, will slide in. We'll also be animating the object states later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that. You can see that I've already added the product names and the price. This is all fictional, by the way, so go ahead and make this up as you go, unless of course you're doing this for a client. I'm going to grab all 3 of the handbags, drag them on my page, and I'm going to lay them out in order of how you see them on the right hand side. Okay, so let's go with this one first. By the way, I've gone ahead and removed the backgrounds on all these images. If you're just putting this on a white canvas and this is a white JPEG, for instance, then you can go ahead and not have to worry about removing the background. See how that works? But I find that removing the background gives you some more flexibility. So let's go ahead and add the second one here. and the last one. Okay, so I actually want to swap these a bit. I'll move this one into the middle, this one up top, and then I like to have, this is a preference thing, I like to have the frames, the image frames, nice and snug to the image. Okay, the best you can. All right, we're gonna add some separation of these a little bit. You can also go ahead and rotate maybe some of them for added creativity. And then if you want to increase these a little bit, a couple ways. If you're a beginner, click the content grabber, Option Command or Control Shift Control on Windows. So Option Command and then greater than. I like the size of that one there. What I'm going to do is maybe bring the handbag up. Maybe I'll put the handbag in the middle and move this guy over here. See what works best in your layout. And of course you can overlap and stack them a little bit. The other way of resizing quickly is Shift Command, grab one of the handles, corner handles, and then just drag it out. And again, because this is a catalog, or if you were doing like a lookbook or something, you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of having things laid out this way. So that's good for now. I just want to make sure that the images fit properly. Let's see how that looks. That'll work for now. That's good. And so here are the corresponding product names, price, and then view online. I'll show you how to link, hyperlink one of these buttons, because remember, this is not a mobile app. This is meant to be an online publication. So an EPub catalog where you can, get some information about a product, but ordering it, you can click a button to take you to the website. So you see a lot of companies do this now, where having a mobile catalog, published catalog rather than printing it. This is a great way of doing that. So I have faux leather handbag, faux leather clutch, and canvas tote bag. So I'm just going to move this one at the bottom, this one in the middle, and then this one at the bottom. I'm going to collect all three, and when I say collect, I mean select them all with your selection tool. And in the top control panel or properties panel, use your alignment tools to align the right edges. Okay, so that looks like it has already. And then I'm going to align the vertical centers so they're stacked together. By the way, I've gone ahead and reordered these in my layers panel the way I want them. So you can see, actually it's called state 1, state 2, state 3. I've gone ahead and stacked those, reordered them the way I want. Great, so now that they're like that, I can create an object state, multi-state object from this. And for this, we'll need object states. So why don't I go ahead and show you the panels you're gonna need. So object states, buttons and forms, animation for later on. To access these by now, you should know they're under window, interactive, and the ones I just named are all in here. Buttons and forms, object states, animation. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with object states and convert the selection into a multi-state object. Okay. You can see they're there now. State 1, state 2, state 3. Perfect. So that's why I reordered them in the layers panel. Of course, you can go ahead and reorder them here and rename them here. But again, I've talked about how I'm having issues renaming states in the latest version of InDesign that I'm still trying to figure out why. So if you're on an older version of InDesign, go ahead and rename them here instead of reordering them in the layers panel. But you can see this is how I want them, so that's fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna click on the first handbag, and the user experience I want, or the way I'm gonna set the buttons up, is have it from left to right. So this bag first, then the smaller clutch, and then the last tote bag. So let's click on the first one, and now we're going to buttons and forms, and the type is going to be button, and we're going to call this, we're going to rename it, so always rename your buttons. This one's going to be called simply handbag 1 or purse 1, whatever you find easier. The event will be on release or tap, so because this is a mobile experience, you're going to want to tap it. And so the action will be go to state. And right now, we only have one multi-state object set up, and it's called multi-state 1. Let's go ahead and rename that, only because we're going to be setting up more of them, and we don't want to get confused. So for this one, let's call it handbag states, okay? If you don't rename your multi-state objects, what's gonna happen is it's just gonna default as multi-state object 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can get a little confusing if you're setting up 3, 4, or even 5 of these. So handbag states, that's good. Let's go back, click on the first one. Yes, it's going to handbag states. You can see that has now changed. And yes, it's going to state 1. I'm going to click on the second handbag, go to the type, click button. This is going to be handbag 2. The event will be on release or tap. On the action, click the plus sign, the plus icon there, and we want go to state. So not next state, not previous state. We're going to a specific state that we're setting up. So go ahead and click that. And for this one, we're going to state 2. Let's go ahead and set up that last one. I'm going to click on that third frame, the image. The type will be button. The name will be handbag 3. The action will be go to, see what happened there? I clicked the wrong one. So action is go to state. Okay, click that. And the state will be state 3. So right now, if I test this out, it's basically going to, you'll see, well, I'll show you. So let me click that, the EPub preview. It's gonna be from a little distance away here, but you'll be able to make it out. Okay, so if I click on handbag 1, you can see that they just appear, okay? You can see that on the right-hand side there, all that's happening is they're toggling through, which is fine. As an added bonus, what I want to do is click anywhere on my object state, so my multi-state object, and in the object states panel, go ahead and click the option, the multi-state option, or the object states options, and we want to hide it until it's triggered. So basically, we don't want to see this until we actually click on one of those buttons. So go ahead and hide that, and this will not appear on page load until we trigger one of these, okay? We'll add animation in just a bit. Let's go ahead and set up another one. So in this case, I have 4, and this will be the next set of images. So skirt, top, we got the pump, shoes, and the watch. I'm gonna drag all of those on. So 4, you can see I have them here. I'm just gonna let go and they'll all load in my cursor. Okay, you see them there? I'm gonna use my right arrow key to toggle through. So let's go ahead and add the skirt. Let's go ahead and add the long sleeve top. And of course, we'll resize these in just a moment. Let's go with the shoes. And then lastly, the watch, okay? So now, obviously, that's not how I want them to be laid out. I'm going to turn my guides off for a sec. Just press W on your keyboard. And for this one, Shift Command, and just drag it out. I want that to be the largest one. You want to rank these in order of their importance. So obviously the skirt and the shirt are probably the most important pieces here. Okay, so something like that. Maybe have the skirt in front. No, let's have the skirt in the back. Move that to the right. That's another thing too. You want to make sure that these are all visible and the consumer can still see the image clearly. Of course, they can zoom in once this is published. That watch is a bit too big, maybe a little bit smaller, and then maybe put that here. Let's Let's go ahead and grab all of these. I want the shoes to go a little bit lower, the watch, and even the shirt could be just a bit bigger. Move it to the right. I'm happy with that. Let's move everything to the right a bit. Okay, move the watch to the left. Good, that's good for now. I'll make the shoe a little bit larger, just so people can see it. You wanna make sure there's enough contrast. Perfect, so that's good. I'm gonna put my guides back on. Remember W. And again, these are all individually grouped. So I have the product name and the price with view online buttons. Okay, so I'm going to select all of them with my selection tool. And in my control panel or properties panel, let's align the right edges this time. Okay, good. And in this case, let's align the vertical centers again. Perfect. Before I do that, let's see. So, okay, yep, that's good. I have this selected. I'm gonna go to Object States, and let's go ahead and create this now into a multi-state object. And this will be called, let's call it Outfit 1, okay? And then if you're doing another outfit, call it Outfit 2. So right now I have handbag states. This will be Outfit 1 states. Okay, so there's the skirt, there's the long sleeve top, the pumps, and the watch. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead now and let's start with the skirt. Go to the buttons. Let's create that into a button, and we'll call this skirt. Let's call it long skirt, because there might be another skirt later on. You don't want to confuse the two. Perfect. And the state here will be go to state. And you have to select, you see how it automatically defaulted to the first multi-state object we created? Let's go ahead and click that and make it Outfit 1 states. And yes, we want it set to state 1. Let's click on that shirt, the top button, and let's call it long sleeve top button 1. Go ahead and add an action, go to state, Outfit 1 state, and this is going to state 2. Let's click on the shoes button, and this will be classic, let's just call it high heels 1. And the action is go to state, Outfit 1 state 3. Okay, and we got one more here. That's a button. The name is watch. Watch is fine, and go ahead and give it go to state action. Select the object of Outfit 1 states, and this is state 4. So we've set up our multi-state object to trigger the buttons, so the buttons will actually trigger the multi-state object. I'm gonna go make my way back up, and let's add animation to the object states themselves, so that when we tap on the button and we tap on one of the images, not only will the corresponding product name and price information come in, but they will also come in with a fly from left or fly from right animation to them, okay? And then again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I find it adds a little bit more interactivity to the overall project. So I'm gonna click on that, go to Object States, click on State 1, and then double click on Full Leather Handbag, or the first state, I should say. Double click to drive into that selection. Then you can go to Animation, okay? And the preset, we want this to fly in from the right. With a duration, I want this to come in pretty quickly. 1 second, I think is too long. So have it come in at 0.25, okay? Just hit Tab on your keyboard. And I also don't want this to fade in. I just want it to kind of slide with a hard transition right to its position when you tap on that purse. So I'm gonna click on the opacity and click none, okay? Go to Object States again, so you're kind of bouncing back and forth from animation Object States for this step. Okay, let's click on State 2. double click on the actual text frame to drive into that selection, basically what you want to be animated. I don't want the button to be animated, just the text and the price there. Animation, we'll choose fly in from right. You can see on state load, the event is on state load, that's good. The duration is 0.25 and the fade in is none. We have one more to do here. Click on state 3, double click to drive into that selection, go back to animation, click the preset, fly in from right, opacity is none, with a duration of 0.25. Okay? I'm gonna go ahead now and set up the rest of the buttons, the rest of the object states, and animation to everything else on this page, and then I'll show you how to add it into a scrolling frame. Before we move on, I quickly wanted to show you how to set up a URL or hyperlink button to take users from your EPub publication to an actual web page where they could perhaps order the product or look into it even further. So I'm going to click on View Online, or this View Online button, and I'm just going to simply turn that into a button, okay? And let's just call this View Online button is fine. The event is on release or tap. The action will be go to URL. And in this space here where it says URL, that's where you would add the actual website URL to take users from your publication, your EPub fixed layout publication, to the actual website where they can order the product. All right, so I've gone ahead and added the last 3 images to this layout. You can see them down in the bottom. I created those into buttons, and I added the last multi-state object with the product info and the price. So now I'm going to show you how to create a scrolling frame for the entire layout. Before we do that, I'm going to scroll out just a bit. And in the top left-hand corner of the pasteboard, go ahead and click in any of the empty space. Drag over everything in the layout. And then on your keyboard, just press Command G, or you can go up to Layout, go to Object and Group, okay? So now that that is grouped, I'm just gonna click on the pasteboard again. And do you remember we added more depth to the document size from a standard iPhone X page height to something deeper so that we could add more content? So let's go ahead now and click on where it says custom, and we can change that back to iPhone X. So I'm going to click that, and you can see both pages in my document here are now back to the standard height of 2436 pixels, and that is okay because what we're going to do is we're going to add a scrolling frame to these pages. So you can see my layout is still there. I'm going to click on that and Command X to cut. You could also go to Edit and Cut. Now I did set up guides earlier. I could remove them now. So I'm going to go to Layout, Create Guides, and then I'm just going to click Remove Existing Ruler Guides and hit OK. We don't need those anymore. And what I'm going to do is create a container frame. So to do that, I'm going to go to the rectangle frame tool and draw out a box or a frame that covers the entire page, edge to edge, all the way around. I'm going to grab my selection tool, click on the frame, right click, paste into. Okay, what that does, it's gonna paste the entire layout into that container frame. And because it's grouped, I can double click in it and then just drag it down while holding Shift. That will make sure that it stays in place. Okay, and just bring the top of the layout, the top of the edge of the layout, snap it to the top of the page, and you can see that the purses or the handbags end right there. That's exactly where I wanted it to, so that's good. Before I get into the scrolling frames, I want to tell you how to get or how to access those scrolling frames. Now for me, you can see I have an N5 drop down here where I can create a scrolling frame. If you don't have this yet on your built into your InDesign, this is what's called an extension that you'll have to download. And so you'll go to Window and then select Find Extensions on Exchange. Once you click that, it's going to open up a web browser. I already have mine open here. So this is the Adobe Exchange website where you can add plugins, extensions to your software, which is really cool. And one of the best ones, I think, for InDesign is the N5. Now this is a subscription-based plugin or an extension, but it does offer some really cool features that are free, and one of them happens to be the scrolling frame. So what you would do is click on that. You can see that here, and I already have mine installed, so go ahead and install it. I have to sign in there. Go ahead and install it. Once you do, you'll get the green check mark that says you've acquired it. You may have to reload your InDesign, but once you do, you'll see that you now have the N5 drop down like this, okay? So I'm gonna click on that. And what I'll do is go to N5, and in the interactive widgets, you could see there's a scrolling frames selection. So I'm gonna click that. You'll get this window. However, if you're just starting on N5 and you want to add the scrolling frames, once you access that scrolling frames panel, it's going to ask you to sign up or add an email for an additional plugin. But I promise, go through those steps. They'll email you the plugin details, and then you'll have the scrolling frames. As long as you follow those steps, you'll be able to have the scrolling frames, okay? So I have mine here. There's the panel. And I'm going to select vertical because this will be a vertical scroll. Now you can have it set up to auto detect, but because I already know that this will be vertical, I'm gonna select vertical. Now you can hide the scroll indicators if you want. I'm gonna leave it on for now. Once you've done that, you can go ahead. Actually, I have one more to do down here, so why don't I do that? This is the second page, which I've done previously. I've already grouped it, so I'm gonna Command X. I'm gonna add a second container frame. So the container frame is basically just a rectangle frame, okay? And then you can convert it into a scrolling frame. So once you have that set, right click on it and then paste into. Don't paste in place, paste it in there. Now it's gonna paste it the way you cut it. So you saw that it was in that position already. That's okay. Double click, drag down, hold your shift key. Remember to do that just to keep everything in place. Okay, perfect. And you can see now that this page also ends at that first product. So if you could set it up in a way where the cutoff ends where the product ends, I should say, is where the cutoff, and then the consumer or the user can scroll through, but it just gives it a nice clean look, okay? You don't want half the product to be cut off, so try to have it where the cutoff is where the product ends, if that makes sense, okay? So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna export it as a EPub fixed layout, and then I'm gonna show you how it displays on my mobile phone. I'm gonna open it up in Apple Books, but you can access it for Android users. There's plenty of EPub readers that you can download. Google Play Books is probably the best one for that platform. Adobe Digital Editions is another one. Okay, so let's go ahead, export this as an EPub fixed layout, and I'll show you how that looks on my phone. All right, so to export this as an EPub fixed layout, go up to File, Export, and you can see I called it eCatalog_2. In the format, change it from the default Adobe PDF print to EPub fixed layout. By the way, if you want to export this as an interactive PDF, it will not work. So just remember the animation and object states and those types of things, anything that used to require Flash, those won't work anymore. So your best bet is always either EPub fixed layout or just publish it online. So EPub fixed layout, perfect. I'm gonna select save. All these settings are good by default. If you want to add metadata to kind of populate for people to find this in the Apple Books or whatever e-reader you may be using, you can see in the viewing apps as a default, I have it set to Apple Books, so it's automatically going to open in the Books app on my iPhone. But you can see as a backup, I also have digital editions, which is also good. So I'm just going to hit OK, and then I'm going to show you how it opens up on my mobile phone. All right, so I've gone ahead and opened the interactive layout in Apple Books on my phone, and you can see first off, the scrolling frames is really cool. So I know we set it to 5,000 pixels, but obviously you can go even a deeper height than that if you're planning to have a longer scroll. So let's check out the buttons and see how those look. So I'm just tapping on the first purse. There's the second purse, and then the third. Let's scroll down. There's the skirt, the long sleeve top, the pumps, and the watch. Perfect. Let's keep going down. There's the skirt, the shirt, and the shoes. And because this is an EPub publication, a multi-page publication, I can swipe to the left to move on to the next page catalog. So let's check this one out. Click on the first shirt, the belt, the shoes. By the way, I didn't add any animation or any interactivity to the images where it says casual wear and those things. I wanted to show you how to set up the images that had the backgrounds removed. So I'll click on jeans, sleeveless top, and faux leather handbag. So that's how you would create, and this is how it would look. It looks a lot better in an EPub presentation on mobile than in a web browser if you were to publish this online. So just keep that in mind, and it also gives users the ability to download a copy and view it whenever they want. So that's how you create an interactive mobile catalog with scrolling frames and animation using Adobe InDesign. If you enjoyed this tutorial, if you found it helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get notified when new videos have been posted. If you'd like to learn more about interactive design, go ahead and click the playlist above.